friends. Welcome to Writer's Reading. This program is brought to you as a public service presentation of WPRG TV5, Harold, Kentucky. Today I'd like to read a poem to you called Photographs. I looked at photographs today of you and me. Something in your face caught my attention. Something I had always seen but never noticed. You had that faraway look in your eyes. Were you daydreaming, or were you remembering? No matter. Now your eyes are far away, and all I have are photographs, and daydreams, and memories. Today on the show, as our special guest, we have, once again, Mr. Eugene Sisco. Eugene?
Hi.
Hi.
Glad to be here again.
Thank you for coming. Coming on the air anyway.
Hope we don't bore our listeners.
No, we won't. I'm going to read again today from Eugene's book called Looking In. This story should interest everyone because everyone is interested in Elvis Presley. And this is called Elvis on Brushy. During the past few months, I have noticed a preponderance of alleged Elvis sightings. In the Lexington Herald-Leader, he is reported to be in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Another article in the National Enquirer has E basking in the sun on an island in Hawaii. I admit I am a skeptic, especially when someone tells me they have seen a person who has been dead for more than 10 years. I was raised in Martin County, and the only time they bring back the dead is during the county judge election. As it happens, I am not without my own I Saw Elvis story. It was a hot Sunday afternoon, July 27 of this year, when I decided to visit Jackie and Steve Brady. Both Jackie and Steve were longtime friends and work associates of mine. It had been since their marriage, more than a year ago, that we last talked. I was told by a mutual friend that they had just moved into a house on Brushy Creek in Pike County, Kentucky, with my only directions being it'll be the house with a white Nissan and two ugly red trucks parked in the yard. I decided to hop into my blue Dodge Colt and venture toward Brushy Creek. Being that I graduated from the local college, Pikeville, I was somewhat familiar with the terrain. I rounded the big horseshoe curve about 3 miles up Brushy when I saw a familiar body sitting beside an old blue Ford pickup truck. I slowed down to get a better look. Can it be? Yes, I think it is. It was Fabian. No, not Fabian, the rock star of the 50s, but Fabian Ray, ex-CPA, ex-long-distance trucker, turned shade tree mechanic, the legend of Pikeville College. It had been almost 2 years since Fabian and I had sat down to swap stories and split a beer, so I was eager to pull over and talk. I pulled almost off the road and hopped out of my car to greet my old buddy. He looked up. When he figured out who I was, he jumped to his feet. "Sisco, you old son of a gun," he said. "What you doing up this way?" Extending his grease-laden hand. I shook it and we exchanged the standard "I haven't seen you in so long" pleasantries. After our blood pressure settled down and we reached a lull in our conversation, Fabian said, "Oh, I want you to meet someone." He pointed to a pair of tattered, grease-splotched jeans protruding from beneath the truck. Kicking lightly at the legs, he said, "Come on out. I want you to see my old friend Eugene." Then, as the figure slithered out from under the truck, Fabian said, "Eugene, meet Elvis Presley." I was amazed, to say the least. It was really Elvis. He didn't look anything like the newspaper article said he did. He was very trim, although I must admit those greasy jeans and that Pikeville College t-shirt did not do him justice. Elvis' hair was just as dark and just as thick as I remembered it in Viva Las Vegas, and his eyes were just as blue as in Love Me Tender. As he looked up at me and said in that mellow southern accent, "Hello, nice to meet you," I knew he was the king. It was truly a mind-boggling experience. Why Elvis? Why Fabian? Why on Brushy Creek? I'll bet I was a pretty sight standing there with my face hanging out. Elvis was quick to notice. "Hey, Eugene, sit down and have a brewski," he said, handing me a Pabst Blue Ribbon. Well, I sat down and drank that beer and 2 more. I also got the answer to some of those questions that were running through my mind when I first saw him. Elvis told me he had visited Brushy Creek during the time he was supposed to appear in Rubberina. With all the hoopla surrounding his death, Elvis said it would be easier to find a better place to live. I said, a better place to live? What do you mean? You have anything you want and everything you need. He looked at me with those baby blues and explained, right here, I am truly one of the guys. No better, no worse. I can drink wine from the bottle. I can get my hands, my clothes, my entire body black with oil and grease if I want. And if I'm late for Mrs. Ray's dinner call at 5 o'clock, well, you know what? I don't eat. That's why I'm here. Here I'm just regular folk. We sat around for a while longer and discussed music and politics. Elvis is a bushman. The conversation eventually came around to why the number 4 spark plug wasn't firing on that old blue truck. I knew right then it was time for me to go. I got up, dusted myself off, and asked them if they knew where Jackie and Steve Prady lived. Fabian shook his head no and turned to look at Elvis. Does Jackie teach school at Brushy Elementary? And is Steve the admissions counselor at Pikeville College? I nodded yes. He replied, they live up the road around about 3 miles. They have a white Nissan and 2 old trucks parked in their front yard. I never made it to Jackie and Steve's that day because it was getting late and I don't like to drive after dark. I have since then given a lot of thought to what Elvis had to say. I think he is right in that people, not only on Brushy Creek but anywhere in East Kentucky, have a basic sense of fairness and they treat everyone accordingly. If this story is lucky enough to be picked up by some national magazine or newspaper, I expect Elvis will have to find another place to live. Who knows? Maybe he'll pick Inez. That's cute. Did you really see him?
No. That story was written, about 7 years ago. About 6 or 7 years ago. So the characters in there probably have moved and
Okay,
they've been married a little longer.
Elvis has probably moved off somewhere else.
Yeah.
So don't go to Brushy looking for him.
Oh.
You want to tell us something about this book?
Well, basically it's just a collection of little short things, just like what we've been reading, I think, the last 2 or 3 times I've been on the show. And I call it good bathroom reading, whatever that means to everybody. It's not really serious, though there are some serious essays in it. By and large, it's just something simple. We can get it by sending $6.95, check or money order, to Writers Reading, P.O. Box 44, Honaker, Kentucky. And the zip code is
41639.
41639. So that's how you can get it.
And the price, don't forget
The
that.
price is $6.95.
And be sure to make the check payable to Eugene Sisco.
Right. Make it out to me, or she'll spend it.
Yeah.
So, I think we need to maybe mention too that I'm normally the cameraman here, but also try to help her out with getting guests on, and it seems like it is a chore sometimes. So you all out there that are listening or watching, you can get on the show if you write, if you have been published, or even if you haven't been published and would like to appear on the show. Send us what you've written, and along with a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we'll go over it. And if you have a phone number there, we can give you a call and let you come on the show and do what we're doing.
Just send it to the same address, P.O. Box 44, Honaker, Kentucky.
Zip code.
41639.
All right.
Well, Eugene, thank you again for being on the show.
I've had fun.
I always enjoy reading your stories.
Well, thank you very much. You're very good at it. So I'll step back here and let you sign off.
Okay, thank you. We want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope you'll join us again next week. Today I want to thank Mr. Eugene Sisco for being on the show, and also I want to thank Dr. Don and WPRG for allowing us to come to you. Until next week, may God bless you.